So recently, Dr. Naresh Trehan became a billionaire. For people who do not know who Dr. Trehan is, he is a leading cardiologist in India. He has a bunch of achievements, including serving on the president's panel of doctors. So he has done a lot in terms of his job career. But interestingly, most of his wealth comes from owning a stock called as Medanta. In fact, he started that hospital chain, if I am not mistaken. And as of today, he has made almost 90-95% of his wealth from that stock alone. So just to give you some context, here is Medanta's market cap. It is roughly 25,000 crore. And Dr. Trehan owns 33% of that company. So to cut the long story short, that Dr. Trehan is an accomplished individual, जिन्होंने job करी, excelled as his career, but most of his wealth comes from his investment. Now this is the dichotomy that the world faces कि यार हम लोग अपनी job पे बहुत focus करते हैं. We think that if we work sincerely, diligently, put in a lot of hard work, we will become like millionaires, billionaires. But unfortunately or fortunately, wealth comes from owning equity. Now equity does not mean आपको stocks own करने हैं per se. It could be a company that you started or some kind of leverage that you own. So wealth comes from there. So two critical lessons. Number one, the wealth is built by owning equity or a stake in something or some kind of leverage. And two, in order to own that equity, stake, partnership, whatever you call it, you need to be an accomplished individual. So this video is going to be a demotivational video. The reason why I say demotivational is that I'm going to talk about some hard truths about making money. Why is it so difficult to do it? Most of you will drop off, you would not watch this video till the very end, which I would highly recommend that you do, because I'm going to share practical experiences of building wealth. तो आप बोलोगे कि अच्छा आपकी क्या क्वालिफिकेशन है, what have you done in terms of making money? See, I am not a billionaire like Dr. Trehan, but I have made enough wealth from different assets which I am going to speak about. While building wealth is great, it is equally important to protect your baseline by buying an insurance, especially a term insurance. Now in India, the premiums on term insurance is skyrocketing. In fact, insurance premiums have been one of the highest inflation products in the last 1 year, and going forward the premiums are going to rise further. So in that regard, buying an insurance early, especially a term insurance, makes sense. On that note, let me introduce you to partners of today, which is Policy Bazaar. It is an excellent platform for buying your term insurance. You can compare a range of plans. One of the key advantages of having a term insurance is that it offers you tax advantages under section 80C and 1010D. On top of this, these days many term insurance can be purchased roughly at around 525 rupees on monthly premiums, and you get a large sum assured up to rupees 1 CR. On policybazaar.com, you can compare a range of plans and choose a plan that fits your needs. This means it is better to buy term plan online as it is much easier and quicker. Additionally, your family will get a dedicated relationship manager who will walk them through any claims process. So check out the links in the description and comment box for more details. So just to set some context, here is my mutual fund portfolio. You can see that I have made in excess of 1 CR. You might ask, what is the average age of this portfolio? I have built this portfolio publicly, as you can check from my previous videos. So I have done it from a mutual fund / stock investing point of view. Stocks मैं आपको नहीं दिखा सकता because overall the portfolio have been aggregated over the years. So I will not be able to give you yearly CAGR on it, but my yearly CAGR, if you trust me, would be somewhere around 30% for this year. So this is one. Second is that I have been able to make excess of 1 CR this year by investing in real estate, and this I had purchased somewhere in February, March of this year, and so far it has already given me a 25% run up because the offers that I am getting on it is much higher. In fact, some of my students have ended up visiting the villa that I own in this community, and आप इसमें जाके check कर लेना. Then again, here I have made decent amount of money. So within last 1 year from my real estate, I have been able to make in excess of 1 CR. Now then comes the third business stream that I own, which is a set of businesses, be it community membership, courses, आप YouTube देख लो, right? So I will not get into the specifics, how much money have I made, that's not the point of the video. But again, here if you combine all this stuff, then it would again be in excess of 1 CR. Now my background is that I am an ex-management consultant and my last drawn salary was at 50 lakh CTC. So usme bhi I was making decent amount of money. Now because I have practical experiences of making money by running a business, by equity investing, real estate investing, वगैरह वगैरह, I can give you practical insights, and that is what this video is going to be about. I am going to teach you frameworks, strategies of how you can design your 2024 in order to make 1 CR in wealth. How difficult, easy is it going to be? I'll explain the entire math. So let's begin. So in order to make 1 crore, you need to understand something called as the money equation. Now I will use a very simple framework, very easy to understand language. Please watch this section extremely carefully. बहुत सिंपल भाषा में you will be able to understand it, and please press the like button in case you like the explanation. See, the money equation very simply says that the total money that you are going to make in 1 year, let's say that you are in a job, it would be a combination of two factors. One is the price and the quantity. So let's say that you are a consultant, and if you are charging, let's say 5,000 rupees per hour, and every week you are working how much? You are working, putting in a quantity of 40 hours per week. You do that for 52 weeks. So आपका हो गया, right? So this is the amount of money that you are going to make on yearly basis. The important point and key takeaway from this equation, there are in fact two key takeaways. The first key takeaway is that you can't become ultra rich by renting out your time. Now again, going back to Dr. Trihan's example, think about the fact that he has made most of his wealth now at the age of 77. Why? Because maybe in the early part of his life or even in the mid part of his life, he was renting out what? He was renting out his time, right? He was a cardiologist, बहुत पैसा बनाते होंगे. Similarly, lawyers make a lot of money. But what are they doing? They are essentially renting out their time. Dr. Trihan has become a billionaire now. Why? Because he shifted from renting out his time to owning equity. So this is first key point and first key takeaway. The second key takeaway is that this actually distorts our thinking style. What we end up believing is, yaar, you know what, I'm 25, I've just joined a job, and let's say that I'm just making 2,000 rupees per day or something. So it's very low salary, मैं छोड़ छाड़ देता हूँ, and I will just become like an investor, or I'll try to start a company. Nothing wrong with that mindset, but you again have to go back to the practical story that probably when Dr. Trihan started out his career, he would have thought about the fact, you know what, first I have to upskill myself, get myself to a certain level. Once I have that expertise, I will be in a position to command different stream of incomes. Abhi bhi wo doctor hai, right? And he owns equity in Vedanta, so to say. So he has created something called as number of pillars or parallel income streams. So ऐसा होता है, सबके साथ होता है, right? For example, if you study any rich billionaire, millionaire, most of them would have multiple sources of income. But to get there, you have to develop your skills first. This is the first practical key takeaway. Now, this is the story that many of you might know, but what people forget is that in order to solve any problems or in order to create multiple income stream or grow your income or excel at your job, you have to solve critical problems in your life. Consider for example health issues. आपकी income का loss होगा. You will lose a lot of money in terms of your poor health. So that's a problem that needs fixing. It's a critical problem. Similarly, many people have issues in their family. कि यार बहुत लड़ाइयाँ चल रही हैं, mental health नहीं है, there are issues going on, depression में चले जाते हैं वगैरह वगैरह. Again, that's a problem that needs solving. Many people are constantly struggling because their families have taken up a lot of debt, or they themselves have taken up a lot of debt. So that is a money related problem. You have to solve all these critical issues. Now it could also be an issue of skill or issue of time. For example, now many of you might ask me that Akshat, आपकी life में क्या problem है? Now see, I will not say problem, but it's a limitation. For example, my kids are young, they require a lot of my time. So the most critical resource for me right now is time. I have to organize my problem associated with time कि मेरे को time का optimization करना is extremely critical. So any business that I'm looking to start now, or the way I shoot my content, the way I have to structure my teams, give them work, all is driven by the singular focus of saving my time. So that's a critical problem that I'm looking to solve. Comment करके बताना that what is the critical problem that you're facing, because unless you solve step 0, then going here becomes extremely difficult and you will not be able to control this money equation. Okay, so now let's speak about one of the most important points, that is how you can make a 1 CR income or salary from your job. Most of the people who might be watching this video might be in a job, might be in 20s, 30s, early 40s. And you might be thinking, यार 1 crore की नौकरी करनी है, right? I mean, how to do it? Is there some mechanics? Here is the harsh reality. This is the placement statistic from IIM Bangalore. ये recently निकला था that many of the students from an elite institute like IIM Bangalore are unable to get internships this year. If you look at the job situation in a bunch of different good colleges, forget about average or below average colleges, उसमें तो डिब्बा बैठा हुआ है, but even at good colleges, getting placed at a good salary is something that people are unable to do. ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट कुछ चीजें आती रहती हैं, राइट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे CTC, राइट? उसमें ESOPs घुसड़ देते हैं, राइट? एंड उसमें दुनिया भर के बॉन्ड्स भरवा देते हैं. सो द पॉइंट इज कि समटाइम द सैलरी इज डिस्गाइज्ड इन सच अ वे that you just feel weird, right? Now, what is the practical reality here? So here is the salary of an associate partner at Dalberg. Now, Dalberg is a company that I had worked with. It's a leading management consulting company in India. बहुत अच्छी job मानी जाती है. But वहाँ पे भी at associate partner level at Dalberg, you are not hitting a 1 CR salary. On top of that, if you study the math in India, the people who have a salary, they are actually penalized in a way in the form of taxation. ऐसे मान के चलो that if you have to make a 1 CR from job, then how much is the real salary that you should be making? करीब at 1 CR level, I'm assuming that you would be paying somewhere around like 30-35% tax. And ले देके you will have to make around 1.4 CR in a salary. So to say, वो CTC VTC नहीं, right? I mean 1.4 CR salary, then you will get approximately 1 CR after tax. So from that perspective, you have to find a job which is 1.4 CR. Are there such jobs in India? Yes, but are they difficult to get? Absolutely. The chances of someone getting that 1.4 CR job, especially sitting in 2024 almost now, the situation does not look very bright. For context, take a look at this graphic. You will see that companies like Sequoia or VC funds like Sequoia have exited. Bunch of other top tier VCs are exiting India. Now, why am I talking about the VC ecosystem? Because abhi tak, for example, if you go back to the year 2018-19 के आसपास, even 2021 tak, the situation was such that startups were paying a lot of salary. Now, are startups paying a lot of salary now? No, and in fact, these top tier blue chip VC funds exiting India is not a healthy sign, right? क्योंकि ये अच्छी salary pay करते थे, but unfortunately they are exiting, which means that they do not for some reason see potential in it. That's problem one. Problem two is that a lot of money is made in industries like finance and consulting. Finance after 2008 has shrunk quite a lot. So वहाँ पे 1 CR plus की नौकरियाँ in India are not really there और बहुत कम है. Even in consulting, unless you are working with BCG, Bain, McKinsey, I don't think that you will be making very high salaries. वो भी after like maybe 10, 15, 20 years. So hitting that 1.5 CR around वाला package in India from a job is really, really tough. That is the practical viewpoint. I am not trying to stir up nationalistic sentiments. On top of that, people say that you know what, आगे चल के the situation is going to improve. India will become a high income country and यहाँ पे बहुत सारी अच्छी नौकरियाँ मिलेंगी. I don't know guys, right? I mean at least in our lifetime, at least for the next 10, 15, 20 years, India might grow from a lower income country where we currently are to a mid income country. And even then, the actual salary that you might be getting to become like a millionaire वगैरह is not that easy. What is the practical action that you can take from this information? Well, two things. One is that if you want to become a millionaire in real terms, so to say, then you have to look for opportunities abroad, preferably in a country where the taxation is low. For example, if you go and work in Dubai, then the taxation is close to 0% and वो बहुत अच्छी चीज़ हो जाती है. Now people turn around and give me the PPP argument. So PPP means purchasing power parity. इसके बारे में आप लोग थोड़ा पढ़ लेना, आपको समझ आ जाएगा. But just to help you understand the context, it is usually said that 18 lakh in India is equal to $100,000 salary in the US. So $100,000 को आप multiply करोगे आज के हिसाब से, so it is 85 lakh rupees in the US. बोलोगे बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, right? Because महंगाई in the US is high, bunch of different things is there, you require more money in order to avail labor and whatnot. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. But see guys, basically what happens is that this PPP argument is very flawed because you need to work with the savings mindset. That how much money are you able to save first and then invest, because investment पे आप बहुत income बनाते हो. Now again, hinting towards my mutual fund portfolio that I was able to make more than 1 CR this year because I had money to invest to begin with. And where do I get money to invest? By savings and earnings, right? So savings are very, very important. Now bringing it back to what we were talking about. See, if you are making let's say 100K salary in the US, tax facts अपन हटा देते हैं because we are just trying to understand the PPP point. If you are making 100K salary there and if you are somehow able to save even 20% of that salary, how much is the money that you are saving? You are approximately saving 17 lakhs, right? So this PPP argument, does it hold valid? The short answer is no. The actionable insight, if you want to earn 1 CR from job, is very, very simple. Work abroad, work in a country where the taxation is low. That is precisely where I started my story after an MBA. Okay, so now let's understand how we can make 1 CR from investing. सबसे पहली चीज and the most important equation that you need to understand is the investing math, which means that sensible returns that you are going to make on investments is roughly between 12 to 15%. Easy way of making 12% is very simple. Just start doing index investing. आपका 12% बन जाएगा. If you are good at stock picking, then you can make anywhere between 15 to 30% depending on the markets. Right now, the markets are high, right? They are almost hitting all-time high. आप अभी जो भी नया पैसा डाल रहे हो, it's unlikely that even if you are a brilliant stock picker, you are going to make 20% alpha, right? Alpha means that if the market is giving only 12-13% return, your portfolio is doing 30% return. That's not going to happen. Very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. So sensible math on returns is 12 to 15%. So if we work our way backwards, that if you have to make 1 CR just through investing, again diverting you to my mutual fund portfolio, that I have made more than 1 CR this year investing. Now why was I able to do it? Well, the answer is very simple. You can take a look at my invested capital. That was high to begin with. Now, if you have a capital of only 1 CR and you're looking to make 1 CR a year, not going to happen. It's extremely difficult that you will be able to achieve. So what is the sensible amount of money that you need in order to make 1 CR just from investment income? I would say that that would be roughly 8.5 CR. So that is the amount of money that you require to make 1 CR every year. Why? Because it again touches down to this particular point of investment return. Now this is a critical concept that most people do not know. They think that stock market is an investment where you can just keep on making crazy amount of money. आप retire बहुत आराम से हो जाओगे, this that. No guys. Now stock market is a vehicle to protect your wealth and maybe grow it slightly, but it's not as if that you can leave your job and become like full-time stock investor unless you get to a decent size figure, not necessarily 8.5 CR, जो भी आपके खर्चे हैं उस हिसाब से you will have to calculate, but you need a big corpus to begin with in order to make a lot of money from investment. So this is part A. Now you would obviously say, yeah, 8.5 CR, that's a lot of money. I do not have that type of money. What's the point of learning even investing? You learn investing because you do not want your wealth to get wiped out. There is a monster called as inflation which wipes out your wealth if you do not invest or if you have no ability to generate 12 to 15% return. This according to me is the real inflation in the economy. Stats कुछ भी आते रहते हैं, but this is the real inflation. If your money is not growing at this pace, then you are essentially losing money. Now again, I would encourage all of you to check out my member community. It's a wonderful community where I teach about investing. You will learn a lot of concepts on how to grow your wealth. Definitely go and check it out. Everything is taught fundamentally there. So on that note, there are 4 key points that I will leave you with if you want to play around with this equation. And before that, take a look at what Bill Ackman, who is a billionaire hedge fund manager, what he had to say about inflation and the entire argument about it.
Again, my view is inflation, or kind of the house view is inflation is going to be persistently higher. And that can happen in the very short term, like literally weeks. And I think the structural forces have changed.
So, okay, here are 4 key points. Number 1. When you are doing investing, you have to build an investment system. कई लोगों का system ये होता है कि जो भी stock दौड़ रहा है, I will just go and buy it. No, that's not a system. System is that you need to understand what type of an investor you are. Are you a mid risk, high risk, low risk? And उस हिसाब से you will have to buy stocks or whatever mutual fund investing you are doing. So now many people do not even run SIPs. Now they are doing a disservice to them because your money will be wiped out. But SIPing is an investment system. Similarly, I would encourage all of you to learn about investing formally, pick up good investing skills and develop your own investing system. SIP is very good if you're looking to make like 12% gains, but anything more than that, you have to have a sense of macroeconomics. Just to give you an estimate, take a look at this graphic. You will see all these red dashes that I have drawn. If you had a sense of macroeconomics कि यार जब market गिर रहा होता है, then we have to invest more money. When the market is falling, put in more money. You're likely to make more returns. I have personally made a lot of money in falling markets. In fact, any investor makes the most money in falling market. But अभी क्या हो रहा है? What is happening now is that market is running. People are also running after the market. So it's okay. The market will run, but you need to have a sense that you are going to make most of your money in a falling market, not in a rising market. खरीदने का टाइम तब होता है जब मार्केट में पैनिक हो, not when everyone is euphoric. Okay, so this is second key point, and there are a bunch of other macroeconomic points that I keep on making. Third key point is that ideally, this is my investment system that I tend to invest my money in high yield, safe assets, at least a big chunk of it. For example, this villa that I had purchased, it falls in that domain. How much rental yield I am making? I am making close to 7.5% rental yield on it. तो वो तो rent आती है. Appreciation होता है property का. So that according to me is somewhere around 5 to 7%. Why was I able to do that? Because number one, I was able to scout a good property. लोगों को property खरीदनी होती है, they will go and scout like 4-5. I scout like 4-5 properties every second day, right? So from that perspective, I have a big repository. I have put in a lot of work. So therefore, I am able to scout good properties from that. I'll make a separate video on this topic, but I just wanted to make a point that this is a fairly critical point. Third key point is that you need to avoid concentrated risk, because इससे होता क्या है that majority of us do not have that risk appetite. And किसी एक चीज में, for example, कि यार आपको लग रहा है कि यार what that HDFC बैंक में growth आएगी, you will put all your money in HDFC bank only. That is called as concentrating of risk. You are just putting all your money in one basket. कुछ गड़बड़ हो गई, right? And you will lose a chunk of your money even on a good company. Then आपका विश्वास उठ जाएगा. You will not believe in the stock market, investing, all this nonsense. यार कौन करेगा? So then you are missing out in terms of investing. You have not created a system. You are just believing in the concept of gambling, and that's not a system to invest. You will not make 1 CR consistently. That is the goal, that you make 1 CR consistently. And for that, please remember all these points that I've just spoken about. Now let's finally take a look that if you want to make 1 CR from business, how you can do it, and I will help you understand this story by using my own practical examples. Okay, so now let's understand how you can make 1 CR through businesses. I will give you my own practical experiences here, but let me quickly first explain you business math. See, there are two types of businesses. Now, of course, there are many, but I can categorize it as per my understanding into two types. One would be called as low volume, high price type of business. For example, if you are, let's say, selling only 100 units, but every unit is 1 lakh, then you can make 1 CR easily. Now, this is something that I did with my business called as My MBA Journey. Now, in that, and again, you can go and check my YouTube channel on that also, which is called as My MBA Journey channel. And you can see that I have helped a lot of students to get into Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, all good business schools. And there the business model was simple, that I was coaching applicants to apply abroad to all these schools. And the average ticket size, and if you Google it, and you will see that admissions consultants nowadays typically charge like 5 to 7 lakhs. So अगर आप 1 लाख भी पकड़ के चलो, 1 lakh, that's a high ticket or high price product. Now on that, if I am serving 100 clients, that is a 1 CR business on yearly basis. Now that's one model that you can experiment with. These are typically consulting heavy models. For example, if you are coaching startups, if you are coaching authors, if you are coaching CEOs, if you are coaching MBA applicants apply abroad, and बहुत सारे businesses हो सकते हैं. So that is one category of business that you can take a look at. The second category of business would be high volume and low price product. What is the example of this? It would be my YouTube member community. There I charge how much, right? I mean, I charge like 160 rupees, and I have certain number of customers which would be high volume. So uske through you can understand the math that I might be making a lot of money from it. Now a lot of people might be doing some hisab कि अक्षत तब ऐसा बना लेता है तब ऐसा. Guys, that's pointless. That's not the point. Please understand the framework. That is more important. So these are two models, and your model can fall anywhere in the middle, but you have to think about products from this perspective. Now this is nothing revolutionary. I haven't said anything path breaking here. This particular second concept which I am going to talk about, this is extremely important, because hota kya hai that many a times what I have seen many of my friends do is that they will pick a very low price product and they will build systems, processes, everything. They will get that product to the market. Margins hai nahi, and it has no volume. So they end up doing low volume, low price type of product, and it becomes a very bad scenario. Why? Because they have wasted a lot. So therefore, understanding this effort matrix is critical. Now we can understand it by plotting effort on x-axis and the value of your services on y-axis. Now ideally you would want to start a product or do a startup in an industry where you have to think from your own perspective, where you have to put very less effort, right? बिल्कुल ही बहुत ही कम effort लगे कि दिन में you're just working 2 hours a day, and people are paying crazy amount of money for that value. Now one such service that people approach me for is that many CEOs want to build their social media presence. They reach out to me. They say, "Yeah, Akshat, you know what? We are willing to pay you like 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees an hour to just coach us." So, okay, that's a very low effort, high value service for me from that perspective. But to get here, it's very, very difficult, because you have to ace whatever you are doing. Unless you are in 0.0001% of whatever you are doing, you will not get here that easily. But this is the ideal scenario, right? So this is one. Where you will have to start is that figuring out a method where the value is high and effort is also high. Okay. आप मेहनत कर रहे हो. For example, this business is something that I started in the early part of my career, which was my MBA journey. Here, the value was high, but the effort from my side going into it was also very, very high. This is okay. There is nothing wrong with it. What you should avoid is something where the effort is very high, but the value is low. So you should avoid this quadrant. Okay. यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन मार्क होना चाहिए, राइट. सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू कैन डिलिबरेट करके देख लो, राइट. आई मीन वेदर इट मेक्स सेंस और नॉट. दैट एफर्ट इज लो, वैल्यू इज ऑल्सो लो, मे बी इट विल टर्न इनटू अ हाई वैल्यू प्रोडक्ट समडे. So you can continue with that, experiment there in that zone. But this is a quadrant that most people miss. They will end up building a startup where profit margins are just really, really bad to begin with. That might turn out to be a very high effort endeavor. The goal of this framework is very simple, that at least you think in these buckets so that you are able to avoid major mistakes and are able to make better conscious choices. Okay, so my kid has come with me to play in the garden, so I'll be shooting the rest of the video from here. Now just very quick summary points regarding starting a business. There are 4 key points that you need to understand. First is that you should pick a business which has the lowest effort from your side. For example, if you are working in, let's say, tech, then you can probably build some kind of a SaaS company, if that is a possibility, if that is an area that you understand. So that might be a low effort activity for you. So think about it from that perspective. Second key point is that please think about the fact where you can get your first 100 clients from. It could be a small ticket size, बड़ा ticket हो जाएगा तो बहुत पैसा बन जाएगा, but at least even from a small ticket size, getting your first 100 customers is really, really difficult. When you get your first 100 customers, it will teach you a lot about managing clients, acquiring clients, get testimonials from them, वगैरह वगैरह. So this is second critical point. Third is that you need to understand the risk with your startup. That is there a time risk? Is there a finance risk with your startup? ऐसा तो नहीं that your family gets destabilized because you have put in so much money in product development. So all those things should not happen. Final point is that you need to understand where you are lacking. All of us would be lacking somewhere. It could be a skill gap. For example, I understand tech less, for example, right? But I might be good at marketing. So I have to fill those gaps. I need to have a plan there. It could be an effort gap. For example, in my case, I'm distracted all day. I work from home. I have young kids. So from that perspective, I am distracted. And second is that I have very limited amount of time. So from that perspective, I need to be cognizant of whatever areas my weak points are and accordingly structure my work. So in summary, the point is that you can get rich from a job. You can get rich by investing. You can get rich by starting a business, running a business. All these things can be done. I have done it to a certain level, and I would encourage all of you to try your hand at all these 3 things. Check the links in the description box. I hope that you found this video to be useful. If you did, then do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, and I'll see you very soon.